This is a video for how to create the crank on our automata box project for the standardized parts. Before we begin, it's important to understand where that crank is in orientation when it's assembled. This crank goes on the side of our box. It contains the axle, and it is what provides the point of rotation. So the crank needs to be drawn on the same side as the axle and the axle bushings, both of which we started on the right face on our Onshape browser. Now, when we look at this shape, it may look a little confusing. How am I going to create this part so that it's smooth, so that it works, and so that it follows the specs? I'm going to guide you through this one step by step because it is just a little bit on the challenging side, but not too bad. And once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a two-dimensional sketch, and we're going to create this kind of paddle. It's going to be a pinball paddle looking thing without the handle at first. And the way I do that is I have two circles here, a circle here. I know that because I have the diameter measurements here and here. These two circles have features that are 1.5 inches apart from center to center. So that allows us to dimension. From there, we're going to draw two lines and then trim and apply a tangent constraint to smooth it all out. So let's go ahead and get started on our sketch by, in the Automata Standardized Parts video, we're going to add a new Part Studio. I'm going to go ahead and right away, I'm going to rename this crank. So what I want you to do is I want you to have your dimension plans open with you so you can kind of toggle back and forth. So right now we're looking at the crank. This one we are going to start by drawing on the right side, and I'm going to have a circle with a 0.625 inch diameter first. So we're going to go ahead and click New Sketch. On the right side, in for normal. C for circle, constrain it to the origin. That diameter is 0.625, hit enter. Black is good for constraining. We want to make sure that every part of the sketch is fully constrained. Then from here, I know that is that first circle there. I am going to draw another circle for 5/16 of an inch. That will represent this bottom little nubbin, and then I'm going to dimension from center to center 1.5 inches away. So here we go. C for circle. I want to kind of hover so that it's aligned with my origin. 5/16, 5-16, so I don't have to do any math. And there we are. Now, the next thing that I need to do is I'm going to dimension the distance between these two circles. So D for dimension. And the distance between them should be 1.5. By doing that, these two circles now are fully constrained. They have both a location, a diameter, and a distance from each other. So that gives me this shape, this shape. Now I need to add the lines and make sure that they're smooth. I'm going to grab L for line, and I'm going to go from, let's just go way out here. Escape, L for line. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see a little better. Escape. And what we're going to do is we're going to make these lines tangent to the circle. And I do that by going up here. You may have a drop-down menu where you see a couple of these other symbols to find the tangent, or you can search tangent over here in the bar, T for tangent too, which kind of works. So what we did, just to show you again, was we chose the tangent constraint, click the line, click the circle. So it's tangent over here, but it's not over here. You can see it's kind of intersecting. So I'm going to click the line and click the circle. And do that down here. Click the line, click the circle. Click the line, click the circle. And then now I have kind of the start of my profile, but I need to trim away the things that I don't need. So I'm going to trim away this little line, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the arcs. So now you can see that I have my pinball paddle, but I have this little extra at the end. So there we go. I have the outline of my pinball paddle, which matches what this bottom part should be. Now before I extrude, I'm actually going to go ahead and sketch in my square for the axle hole. This is 0.26 typical, so all sides of that square will be 0.26. When I go into the crank, I'm going to choose R for rectangle. That gives me center point. And I'm going to constrain it to the origin. That's one of the reasons why we do that. I'm going to dimension it 0.26. And I could go ahead and dimension this other side 0.26, but I'm going to go ahead and use my equal constraint to set it equal. I'm done with my sketch. I like what it looks like. So I'm going to Shift E for extrude, and I'm going to choose the outside part. Now this extrusion will be at a depth of 1/4 inch, so 0.25. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and put this in isometric view so I can kind of see what's going on there. I am going to send it the other direction, pretending like the box is right here. So we got that. So there's the beginning of our crank. Everything looks good. Everything looks smooth. I'm going to put it in isometric view again. And let's look back at what it should look like. So if this were the side of the box, then my handle is going to go backwards. And if I look at my part file here, I know that I am going to be using this sketch from the bottom that we did on our pinball pattern. And I am going to extrude this 5/16 inch circle at an overall depth of 0.75. So we've got a little bit of math here. We've already extruded from our pinball pattern 0.25 of an inch. So that means that the leftover part here is going to be a total of 1/2 inch. So 0.25 plus 1/2 inch would be 0.75. Okay. When I'm choosing my part to sketch on, let's hide these planes so I don't get confused. I'm actually going to go on the back side. So for me, that's going to be the left side of the face. And we're going to start a sketch on this surface. And we're going to go ahead and make this visible, this sketch one visible, so I can see that center point. C for circle. And let's go ahead. If I hadn't have trimmed, I probably could have used some of those sketches already, but I did. So we're going to go ahead and do 5/16 and dimension that. And remember, we've already extruded 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to extrude just this circle for the additional 1/2 inch that I need to finish out my part. And there we go. We've got a nice looking handle or crank for our automata box project. Everything looks pretty smooth, looks pretty good. And if we hide some of our sketches, then we've got some better edges. So there we go. That is how we create our crank from our sketches.